Welcome everyone. Mate talk time. Short mate talk today. I called it. I said to Hannah, and what I mean by short mate talk, 30-40 minutes. Let's see how we go counter-wise. There's a lot on today. There's a lot on overall, and so let's get moving. I first want to give a massive thank you to Andrew. Andrew is a gentleman based in Ireland. Have a look behind me. Actually, here's the photo that you can see a lot clearer there. But Andrew reached out to me and said, look, this book right here, this one here, and here's the photo. He mentioned that they sent him 2 of these. Would I like one of them? Because it's all about Italy and it's about painters and traveling through Italy. And I'm like, yes, that sounds wonderful. I offered to pay for the delivery, for the postage. And he said, don't worry about it because I might add a few things in there for you. Boom. This was like the ultimate gift care package from Ireland. I want to point this one out because I'm so into art and so into prints and everything else. This is a signed piece, and it's number 20 of 100. So Andrew, I will be framing this. It will go up in the office. You will be present, and there's these cute little guys. I mean, you can't see that too well, but these are puffins. I didn't know puffins was a thing for Ireland, but these are handmade and everything. So anyway, look, Andrew, above and beyond, my friend. I did reach out to you to say thank you, but I wanted to publicly thank you on Mate Talk too, because this is very generous of you, and I appreciate it. Now today, 2 announcements will happen at the end. Number 1 is something's up with YouTube and the algorithm. It's I don't know what's going on, but something, and I don't want to be over dramatic and from my end, because at the end of the day, it's not a little man going no yes, and but I got this comment from Cara, and this is one of many that I've been receiving. So let me, at the end, I'll go into a lot more details to what I think is happening and then how I would love your help, please. And the second thing, announcement is the Libertine boutique here in Melbourne has opened up, and it is about time. Melbourneites, Aussieites, if you're going to be local, let's have a meetup. So we haven't done this in a very long time. The boutique here in Melbourne is gorgeous. So the date I'm going to put forward, I'm going to tell you now, but I'll tell you more because I was in Sydney yesterday and caught up with the Libertine team. 9th of May, Saturday, 9th of May. I'm thinking, anyway, I'll tell you at the end. Boom. So you guys. Now I had an announcement last week, as I was doing the Mate Talk, and I asked the question, which I'm glad a lot of people responded on, and the question was, should we consider Creed? Am I allowed to open the box again? Because I know there was all the drama with the Ghost Perfumer book and blah blah blah. And there was a lot of sort of tension around Creed. Creed's a brand that I enjoy. I've got pretty much a lot of, well, not all their fragrances, but I've got a vast collection, and I do enjoy them. And long story is, a lot of people responded saying yes. I only had 2 people saying, nah, don't like Creed for X and Y reasons. But majority was like, yeah, we should do Creed. And I really liked Dimitri's comment, and here it is. Dimitri mentioned a few things on Creed, and actually his comment mirrors a lot of my feelings towards it. One is, marketing always serves a purpose. Marketing always, sort of adds a little bit of spice to the mix, or a little bit more, sort of sprinkles a bit more of that fairy dust. It's me as a consumer, it's up to me to either eat it wholesale or to discern as to what's actually cooking, but I always land in the same place, which is where Dimitri lands, and does the fragrance resonate with me? And if the short answer is yes, then that's all that matters. He made 2 points. One of them was that he supports the wearer, and I totally agree with this, in that I find that for me, the Creeds actually mix in with me. They become a part of me, rather than it being a very, this is the fragrance and it smells the same across everybody. It actually it blends in with me, and I really like that, and I totally agree. And the other thing too is not loud, and this is what today is going to be about. So I am a big, and for those who have been following the channel, I'm a big advocate of the mystery of you when it comes to wearing perfumes. I know that there's I guess a high demand for fragrances that are just punching through walls. I do like those, but my collection, if I were to sort of segment it, my collection is primarily mystery of you. As I was doing, so if you missed this episode, the Orange Blossom, I mentioned here, and this is partly the conversation I had with Linda, but that comment, I'm going to coin it because that came to me in the moment, and I'm like, yes, it's part of what Linda said to me, but those words, I'm like, I'm going to trademark this because this is exactly what I believe, and I think I'm the first to say it like this. Well, tell me otherwise. And it was basically that I like perfumes that present. Hang on a second. That's right. I like fragrances that is about your presence in the world as opposed to a fragrance that presents you to the world. So fragrances that, you walk into, and I've had situations where we've been in closed environments. So, in an office environment, and this perfume, and it's a nude fragrance, is just, it's too much. And every time you walk past that person, it's like you're getting slapped across the face. A beautiful oud fragrance works really well if you're, in my opinion, works really well if you're in an outdoor area or somewhere where it can breathe and it can now become something quite, it can diffuse nicely in the air. But if you're in a closed environment, I mean, for me, a strong oud fragrance, and in this scenario here, it was actually at the Australian Open, it was too much. Even people were commenting, the players were going, that is too much. It was one of the security team who was wearing a very powerful oud, and it was way too much. I mean, just like too much. Anyway, so I do like fragrances that it makes part of the presence of you in the world, All right, last part on that. Sometimes the loudest voice is not the one that gets heard. So, and the example of this is, I had a very close friend of ours. They had young children at the same age that we had them as we were rearing our family. And his approach, whenever the kids were, like if we were at an event or a social sort of gathering, his approach was to do this big show, He'd call out the name of the child. And, if I get off my chair, if I come over there. And so there was this big display, and everybody was aware that this was going down, sort of thing. The unfortunate reality is that the child will continue to play up. I mean, and again, as a parent, you do you. You have your own way of doing things. My style was very different, and I learned it from my father. And I'll tell you how my dad used to do it, and how I would do it. So the way that I would do is, if my child was playing up, just being a menace, I would go up, and it was one particular child. I love you so much, my little Faz. So I had one child we called him the kangaroo, meaning that the other two were ducklings, they would follow, and then we had our little kangaroo who would just want to do his own thing. So I would go up to my little kangaroo, and I would whisper in his ear, very quietly. No one knew that this was happening, but I would say to him, and I would purposely say a lot of words so that he would have to strain to hear what I was, sort of change his psychology. And I would say to him basically, if you keep this up, when we get home, I promise. I promise you're not going to enjoy. So I would whisper and I remember as a young father that he would strain to listen, and even to this day he talks about how the whispering was so low that he would be like, what's going to happen? Like, oh my gosh, something's about to go down. My father's style was way different. So I would be playing up. I'd be creating a menace at a social scene. I still remember this one particular event. There was a lot of people, and it was, I'm guessing soft drink or soda was flowing freely. So we were all sugared up and hyped. And I was just like super hypo. And I looked across at my dad, and I don't know how, and it just some sort of magnet just zoop. And all he did was this. And that was it. I went to water. I just like, I think I'm gonna faint. And that was, in Spanish is ojo, which means watch out, you're crossing the line. That was it. That's it. Even to the point that my friend said to me, "What's the matter? I'm like, no, I've seen a ghost. We're done here, because if I keep this up, I'm a dead man." And Social Security is it, you know? But yeah, Dad would when we get home, we were dead. Anyway, so not necessarily the loudest noise in the room. This big, powerful oud that's just is the most potent fragrance in your arsenal when it comes to being noticed. So what I've got today, these are compliment monsters. Now, if you don't like this style of conversation, stop right here. And if you're gonna put a comment saying, I gave you a warning, stop right here. This is not for you. There are other things on the channel that you can have a look at. What I did today is I grabbed fragrances that stop people in their track when I've been wearing them. And I'll give you examples. I'll show you what the fragrance is, and then I'll give you examples of what happened and how people stopped in their tracks. For me, these are, and whenever I'm wearing them, I'm always getting some kind of attention towards me. I do wear them on purpose if I'm going to an event or something like that, and I do want to create a statement. These are my statement makers, okay? Two honorable mentions that I'd like to put forward, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail only because a lot of conversations already had on these. Number one is Aventus. Today, it's a lot more, I guess, known as a fragrance. I had a massive experience early on. I was talking to a bank teller, and I'm telling you, all of a sudden, she was like, she could not stop talking about my fragrance. And to the point where I was getting uncomfortable. I'm like, this is kind of, I feel like I'm crossing a line here. Like, but Aventus is a fantastic statement maker. When I smell it in the air, it draws my attention, you know, and when I smell it in the air on somebody else, if I'm in a public space, I smell Aventus, I'm like, acknowledging whoever's wearing that, good job, well done. So Aventus is a great, and then the other one is Naxos. I have told the story of how I was filming with a particular person. She was super nervous. I knew that she was going to be very nervous. I wore Naxos primarily for her because it's such an alluring scent. I was putting a mic on her, and she was nervous, and she's chatting, and all of a sudden she stopped, and she said, "Oh, I love your perfume." And it allowed me to go into a conversation that sort of pushed her away from having to worry about what we were about to do. So Naxos is it's a showstopper. People smell it. I smell Naxos. I also like, whoa, amazing fragrance. So those two fragrances are fantastic. The next ones I will now share with you, but I'm gonna stop because we're gonna start editing this already, and I'll commence with the rollout. Prior to starting the channel, actually no, just as I started the channel, I got into the house of Maison Crivelli, my perfume pusher, this good man here. It's recommended the whole house to me, and so I jumped in with a whole bunch of different fragrances. One that instantly caught my nose was Santal Volcanique. And the beauty of this fragrance is it does lean a little bit more masculine, and I loved the complexity of it, in that where the zingy sort of aromatic brightness that it has in that opening is, you know, grabs you quickly, but then as it moves through, it retains a portion of that with these softer woods. Now, it's not a classic sandalwood fragrance, but it does have that woody, I call it a softwood. So it has a soft wood, sandalwood element to it, but it is divine in the air. It is gorgeous. Like for me, when I first experienced it, I thought, oh my gosh, magic. But when I'm wearing it, I do get a lot of like people like, what are you wearing? That smells amazing. I was at a function where it was an engagement, so this is a story and link to this. And we were chatting, group of friends, And one young lady was amongst us, and all of a sudden, in mid-conversation, she just said, "Somebody smells amazing." And she's like, and almost to the point of like, "Who is that?" She's like, "I keep smelling it, it comes in and it comes out, and I think it's you, but it's not you." She's pointing to somebody. And then she proceeded to go to all of us and smell our necks. And it was quite a comical scene, because all the boys, we just stood there like, like, smell me. And I thought, so this was at the start of the channel, and I wasn't quite at the confidence level these days when people go, "Someone smells good," I go, it's me. I know it's me because I selected it for this reason, and these are the reasons why. But I'm like, I think it's me. I think, because when she was explaining, she goes, it's kind of, it's spicy, but it's actually gentle, and it's. Anyway, she came to me and she's like, and her eyes lit up. She goes, "It's you." She said, "What is that?" All night long, she couldn't, she's asking me about Santal, Volcanique. She asked me a few times if she could smell my neck again. So it's one of those fragrances that I think works really well on a man. It has an aromatic nature to it. There is a ginger, a cardamom, so it does have a touch of that greenness still involved in the fragrance. There is ylang-ylang. I don't get the ylang-ylang floral nature. Supposedly, these are what it's in there. There's meant to be coffee, hence the volcanic nature of it is that this coffee is picked off the mountain or something like that. I don't get that too much either. What I do get, and I'm now in the dry down, is this just beautifully aromatic, masculine leaning kind of fragrance. It does have those soft woods, so it does have the woody element, but not sandalwood in its classic form. And then it has, I guess what it is too, is that it has the familiar pieces of a beautiful aromatic fragrance for a man. So think of like Chanel, Bleu de Chanel and things of that nature. It has those beautiful, just masculine leaning kind of feel to it, but to my nose, a lot more complex when it comes to the way that the fragrance evolves and moves. Massive recommendation. It's one that I've never forgotten, as I said, because it was early in the channel. That whole scene of us standing there and having our necks being smelt was quite comical. Just when it comes to the way that I like to spray, because I do have a very sensitive nose, I can pick up things, and so I don't want to kill my own brain by overspraying. I only spray 3 times normally, but if I'm going to a function or an event or a party or whatever, I do spray a 4th, and that's on the back of my neck, okay? And that's really because as you hug somebody or, as they're close to you, they can smell that there as opposed to, around your face. So I always do solar plex, stomach, my arm, and for a party or an event, I do back of neck, boom. The next one that I have, and I just realized I have 3 Nasomattos. These are not by design in the sense of like I chose them because they're Nasomattos. I chose them because of and I went through my collection, what do I get a lot of attention when it comes to fragrances, and Nasomatto is the one that sort of popped a lot. The first one that I want to put to you, this is for the boys, the next one will be for the girls. This is Pardon. And I have spoken about Pardon before. This is just, I wore it yesterday. I went to Sydney, had a number of meetings in Sydney. This was my fragrance, and it lasts forever. We had an early flight, so I would have sprayed it around 7 a.m. We got in late, about 11 p.m., and I was still smelling Pardon. This morning, as I, got ready, the shower, started getting ready, took off my undergarments, and I could smell Pardon. So this is a 12+ hour. It's not a big monster fragrance. So it's not something that will, just like I said, fill the room or anything of that nature. But what I do discover is that the more I sweat, it reignites the fragrance on me. So again, solar plex, stomach, there are nice heat spots. So as you warm up and as the fragrance begins to emerge, and it is very present. Sandra smelt the fragrance throughout the day. I didn't ask her, so sometimes I quiz her, I'm like, can you smell? She a few times said to me, I can still smell your fragrance, or I'm still picking up. It has a complexity to it, because I did ask her, what are you detecting? And she's like, I don't know. And this is the part that I want to draw on. The I don't know is the beauty of this fragrance. And if you look at Fragrantica, there are some notes in there that I'm like, I don't think so. This is how I perceive the fragrance. So I do feel that it is a very patchouli sort of leaning that does have those elements that are beautiful about a patchouli fragrance. However, it does also have a very cedar-like pine sort of note to it. I do also detect some kind of herbal eucalyptus, or not necessarily menthol, but something else that gives it a twist. I do get a chocolatey cacao nature to the fragrance too. The meeting that I had yesterday was with the Libertine team. Ethan, who is the key man when it comes to all things perfume. Here's a production that I did together with him. He's also a perfume sensei, similar to a Michael Marzano. And as soon as and he's funny like this. He's like a bloodhound. As soon as I said hi to him, he's like yes. He goes, oh, he goes, I'm detecting a beautiful cedar like pine. There must be is there an iris in that? What are you wearing? That's very intriguing. I do think that there also is a powdery effect. There's some kind of possibly iris in there. Short answer is I don't know. But that is the beauty of this fragrance. It's super complex, does different things, moves around. And it is the compliment monster that I mentioned. Now, my experience with this, and again, boys, this is for you. 12 plus hours, no problem at all. My experience with this was early on when I just had bought it. I had sprayed my usual 3, and it was very present. You know, sometimes when you get a new fragrance, your brain is literally like, whoa, this is a new scent, and well, for me at least, and it's constantly like, oh, I can smell your fragrance. Oh, I can smell your fragrance. This is what it's saying to me. I went to get, I got new glasses, and I went to get an eye test. And you know, well, here in Australia, they put like this thing on you to see if it fits right and all this sort of stuff. So the person, this optometrist, was close to me. It was a female, and as we're sort of very, I guess, intimate in this, as she's doing this, I was very aware of my fragrance, and I'm like, whoa, did I overspray? Because again, I don't like being too loud when it comes to my perfume. She wasn't saying anything, she's doing a thing, and my brain's going, I wonder if she can smell the fragrance, I wonder if she, and I'm like, hopefully it's not too much where it's, you know, sort of encroaching on her and making her, giving her a headache, blah, blah, blah. So as she's in this sort of very intimate sort of moment, she's tweaking like this, and she's close to me, and I said to her I said it very whisper-like, because I also didn't want, because I'm very conscious of smell, my breath to also come across to her, or my bad breath. And I said to her, can you smell my fragrance? And I said it very whisper-like. And I remember she leaned back, she says, yes, and it's beautiful. She goes, she too was going through her own process. She's like, I didn't want to say anything to you because it's kind of weird, and you know, we're in this sort of very intimate. She goes, but that is a beautiful, and then we got into a long conversation on pardon. She was like, I want to buy something for my husband, and I'm thinking this fragrance, I can smell this, and what is it exactly? So, pardon. Now, the second experience that I have with pardon is I had a very close friend of mine, I have a very close friend of mine, who was in a new relationship, or going into a new relationship. We're going out on a date, and he said to me, what should I get? I want to create a statement. And I said, get pardon. He wrote back to me, he texted me afterwards, and he sent me like message after message saying, this was a hit. She just could not stop smelling my neck. I told him where to spray. Could not stop smelling my neck. It was like she goes, that she was like, I don't want to get into, he explained a few things. The bottom line is that the fragrance was a hit, that she really enjoyed the fragrance on him. So, pardon, fantastic. As a compliment monster, as something that draws attention, it does not fill the room. So if you walk in, no one's going to smell you until they get close to you, and they'll begin to pick up on this beautiful fragrance. Boom, second one. Third one. This is my experience now. I've talked about this many times. I'm not going to go long on this explanation. This is now for me a feminine leaning fragrance. And as I was thinking, what can I put forward? there is nothing for me greater than Narcotic V by Nasomatto. The scent notes that I detect, first of all, is very carnal, seductive, alluring tuberose note. And the tuberose note does pretty much linger throughout the rest of the fragrance. The only way that I think that Alessandro's been able to do this is by including jasmine, a very indolic jasmine in there, and continue that headiness, that bouquet, that sensuality that is mixed in with the fragrance. To me, it's very feminine leaning. I have read in some of the episodes that I've created that men like wearing this fragrance. I think that is awesome, and I congratulate you. This man cannot wear it. For me, this is just feminine power. This is just, it's a glorious fragrance for a woman to be wearing, and it's one that I love when Sandra wears. However, this is my experience with it. So this is our going out fragrance, you know, so Sandra wants to wear, this is the one that she always chooses. So I have, you know, my memories are linked to, I guess, being close with my wife. We were at church, sitting in the pew, trying to be angelic and, you know, good thoughts. And all of a sudden I got a whiff of something very sensual, very deeply carnal, something very like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, whoa. And I turned to Sandra and I said, are you wearing Narcotic V? And she gave me like a, yep. I thought, you know, it'd be a nice fragrance for church. And I'm like, honey, please don't ever wear that again. I said, I can't control my thoughts. I just like, my brain's going in a direction that it shouldn't be when I'm here trying to be angelic like. So this fragrance here, again, it's not a room filler, but as you're next to that person, there's something just deeply sexy. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous fragrance. And ladies, one I would recommend to you. So actually, if you want to be the ultimate power couple, men, boys, Pardon would be your one. Girls, Narcotic V is the one that you would wear. Next one. All right. This one here is the classic masculine fragrance. So if you want a really good fragrance that just denotes strength and being stoic and reliable, I compare it to James Bond in a well-tailored suit, just looking super sharp. The fragrance is Monsieur by Pierre Guillaume. This is a really, really well-constructed fragrance for a man. And the name says it all, Monsieur. It's part of the Black Collection, and I know with Pierre, his Black Collection, I'm back, battery died. Let me pick up where I was saying. So Pierre Guillaume's Black Collection is essentially a snapshot. So in the name, it already tells you what the fragrance is about. There's no second guessing. It's about a man, and it's about a well put together man, well dressed. There is a presence to this individual. He's a monsieur. He's a gentleman, essentially. Now, this is a fragrance that you can dress up or dress down, but never casual. I love, if I'm doing anything in the garden, I love wearing fragrances, and so I will pick something for the garden. Santal Volcanique, perfect for the garden, aromatic, green, vibrant, beautiful for pottering around in the garden. Monsieur, no. I would feel out of place. It just would not suit what I'm doing. So when I say casual, it's about going to a casual venue, or just if you're just going for a stroll or whatever. Monsieur is a great fragrance, but you have to, in my opinion, have to dress up a little bit. You can't be just wearing a t-shirt and jeans. It's not Monsieur for you. It's a polo or something like that. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying how the scent profile operates in my brain. The scent of it is, think of classic masculine notes. So patchouli and cedar. What else is in here? It's very woody. There is a smoky, almost a leathery touch to it. I know that there is an incense in the actual base of it. It does go a touch leathery, actually. Let me smell it. So I'm deep in the dry down there, and what it is. So black pepper, I'm getting this black pepper spice. There is a papyrus, and not that I don't believe I've ever smelt. It's funny how in my brain I have smelt papyrus, but it must have been a dream, because when did I smell papyrus? But what it is that very dry touch of that woody, even like a pencil shaving, where you get that cedar-like quality to it, that very sort of dry woodiness of it. This is what this fragrance is. It's vetiver and earthy, and again, images of stoicism and strength and reliability, all that sort of stuff. Monsieur, really great fragrance. My experience with this is, so in our family, we are very, perfume is soul moving. So we are very deep about perfume. This is more than just, we wear a perfume for whatever. It's a statement that we're making and a selection that we're making, and it's always been part of our family since I was a child. Whenever I wear Monsieur, my sister, she resonates with it. She always says that it fits me perfectly. The scent profile fits me perfect. So whenever I'm wearing Monsieur, my sister instantly picks it up. Now, my father is very particular. He's really super fussy when it comes to fragrances. Early on, I was so excited, I showed him Aventus, thinking, this is the perfect sort of more aromatic, masculine man. No. He's like, oof, it's over the top. It's too much. Whereas when I'm wearing Monsieur, and there's been 2 occasions where he's literally stopped in his tracks as we've been talking to compliment me on my fragrance. So this one here is, for my father to do that, that's like, and no discredit to my dad, he's a very particular man, he has a very particular style, and so to have the Marcelo's dad approval, it says a lot. And you have to remember that I show him many different fragrances. Like I showed him an oud once, and he did backflips. Monsieur, fantastic fragrance for a guy, and one that really, it does draw attention. None of these fragrances are huge room fillers or anything like that nature, but it's nice around you. It does hold its own for 8+ hours without a problem. You can go to a function or an event knowing that you can walk in with that and you would smell, this wonderful scent profile, and you can leave with it and also have that scent profile accompany you home. Boom. The next 2 that I'd like to put forward is, can be a blend for masculine and feminine. These are the X's in the Clive Christians. Independently, they're fabulous, so a man can wear it, a female can wear it, but I do love wearing them as a layered companion. I did create this production here, which I did focus on the X-feminine and breaking it down, but I did mention at the end about the layering issue, the layering example that I recommend. Here, I'm gonna put them to you as a layering option. I realize that because someone wrote in one of the comments, also, I have to buy 2 for it to be perfect, do I? No, you don't. You do you. But if independently, they're fantastic. But as I said, for me, I always layer them because that's the way I like to wear them. Now, let me just tell you about X Masculine first. This is a fragrance that I love on its own. It's one that I always say that if I had a set number of fragrances that I could take on a desert island, X Masculine would actually be in that mix. I'm wearing it today independently, and on its own, it has this complex scent profile that is very masculine leaning. So where Monsieur is almost, and not cliche and not predictable, but very familiar in that masculine space, the woodiness, the cedar wood, the touch of vetiver and earthiness, and a little bit of that leathery touch with the incense, papyrus, just magic. And it's almost like I'm expecting this to be there. When it comes to X Masculine, it has those pieces too. It has the woodiness, it does have a little bit of that spiciness, but it's really hard for me to break it down other than a feeling. And unfortunately for me, I did take this, so this is a fragrance that I took with me when I went to Japan. We were in Osaka, which is very We did a lot of the temples and things of that nature. So for me, it takes me to this location, the bamboo forest and all these sort of experiences. And it was cold, and so I'm getting this warm, woody spiciness. I'm gonna say it's supported with a sense of like a cinnamon bark. I know that there is pimiento in here, and it does have a touch of that sweet, spicy element to it. But again, I mean, I think there's like, is it pineapple? No, there's bergamot in the opening. And I don't get the classic, you know, this is the breakdown and this is how it evolves. It's more an overall feeling. The feeling is of this debonair man. So it is masculine, but now it has like a twist to it, you know, like I'm in a suit, but my kerchief is a little bit more colorful, a little bit more exuberant. I couldn't even have like a bow tie on. So it's the classic man, but with a twist now, something a little bit different. Gorgeous on its own. Now, I use this, as I said, as a layering option. Girls, if you do like if you would like to know more about X-Feminine, have a look at this episode. I did break it down into a lot more detail. One of the key notes here is a peach note. And for me, the peach blended in with these florals is just phenomenal. Knock out of the park together. So what happens here, and the way that I like doing is a 2-for-1. 2 for me, so I do 2 sprays on the masculine, 1 spray on feminine. If I'm going to a function, that equation would then sort of play itself out. And I find that, so the reason for that is I want the masculine to be more present. So I always put masculine on first and then the feminine over the top. I want the masculine side to be more present. So I want the woodiness, I do want that spicy sort of cinnamon element to it. But then with that feminine over the feminine, X-Feminine over the top, the peach and the floral aspects of it soften it down. So it doesn't become so, not necessarily sharp, but there is a more of a bolder nature of X-Masculine on its own with the feminine layered over the top. It sort of brings it down and gives it a softer touch. It is phenomenal as a layering combination. If you want something spectacular, I do realize that the Clive Christians are not cheap. As I mentioned again, you can buy them independently, but if you want the ultimate blending layering couple, this is it right here. My experience with this, so one, I love it as a scent profile because I get now different parts of it. The peach comes forward, but then the spiciness comes in over the top with the woodiness and all these sort of things are happening. I was in a meeting. This was now with another perfume person. We were deep in conversation. So we were negotiating, this is early on in the channel, negotiating different things and different elements. And he literally stopped in his tracks as he was talking to me. And it was almost a little bit on the feverish side, similar to the Santal Volcanique. And he said to me, "What are you wearing?" He goes, "I've been smelling this perfume and I finally identified that it's you that's creating the scent," because we were in a coffee area. There was a lot of sort of bodies moving around, blah, blah, blah. He goes, "I've now identified that it's you." And he goes, "What in the world?" And we spent a good 15 minutes explaining about, or me explaining about the X's, masculine and feminine, and the layering, Clive Christian, beep, bop, boop. So it's one of those fragrances that does capture it captures your attention. And again, I always remember this because it was a mid-sentence. He was talking about something and he just like, bop. It's like, "What are you wearing?" I cannot, this scent profile is just extraordinary. So one that I would recommend to you. And when it comes to its presence, longevity, yada, yada, phenomenal. It'll, 10 plus hours, it'll take you on forever. I've got 2 more. Let me go this one first. This is Oud Satin Mood. I have spoken about this before. Have a look at this production here. If you love vanilla fragrances, this is now a wonderful introduction into oud. So it's not a very over-the-top pungent oud. The oud touch is definitely there. It is present, but it's now has this wonderful vanilla amber accord. There is a touch of rose, but the rose is not one of the key players here. The key players is the oud, and then this vanilla amber caramel accord that's coming through it. this fragrance is just, this is like, if you love ambery fragrances, if you do love oud fragrances, if you love vanilla, this is a minimum. This is just extraordinary, no matter who's wearing it, man, woman. This just, it's just a glorious fragrance to be wearing. It is a lot stronger now. So this is not one that I would recommend you go into a closed environment. The push on this is much bigger. So now we're looking at very high sort of push into a high moderate. So early part of the fragrance, very strong. It does calm itself down, but it still remains in a very high moderate place. This is something that I wear if I'm going to somewhere outdoors. If I'm going to be outdoors all day long, going to an outdoor event, this is definitely something that I enjoy wearing. It's not something that I would go to a restaurant with. It's not something that I would go to a very closed environment with. I find that it has a lot of presence. Now, my experience with this fragrance is I went to an outdoor wedding. So this family here, very much, they have a beautiful country home, and they wanted to celebrate, I guess, the Aussie landscape. I still remember they actually had the ceremony outside, you know, the Aussie gum trees, kookaburras in the tree. This is all truth, by the way. Kookaburras singing and all that sort of stuff. And this was my fragrance of choice. Now, the joke was that I got more compliments on the fragrance that I had chosen than the bride did. So everybody at this bridal event was complimenting me on Oud Satin Mood. People were writing down, tell me the name again. Where is it? What's the name of the brand? And you know, what is it? What is it that I'm smelling? So again, it was an outdoor event. The dining was outdoor underneath, you know, in the country. So it was perfect for that space. It actually allowed itself to breathe, and just, you know, it was just the perfect fragrance. I mean, for me, that just sort of solidified, this is my statement maker. If I'm going to any outdoor anything, Oud Satin Mood is the one that I would reach for, because it just creates a wonderful presence. And then its scent profile, this ambery, vanilla, you know, with that touch of oud and that woodiness, boop, divine, and it'll last you forever. Now, last one. This one here is a little bit controversial, being that it is a weird fragrance, and this is Sadonaso. I think of all the Nasomattos, this is the one that gets a lot of heat. Some people really love it. Other people really are disgusted by it. One thing that I hear as I was sort of in preparing for today, looking at what some of the comments that are coming through, and everyone's banging on about how this smells like urine. Man, you guys are peeing beautifully. Let me give you a heads up, because my pee does not smell like this. I don't get the urine smell. I do get the sass, so don't get me wrong. There is a musky, I get a sexual sass, and I think obviously at the end of the day, it is designed to be a hypersexual fragrance. I mean, if you look at the ad that he created, I'm like, that was a little bit over the top. So it is designed to be in that place, but I don't get urine. All right. Having said that, though, I'm not saying that others are not getting that, because what I have noticed is that people get different things from this fragrance. This is one that my father hates. I have worn it a few times, and he is like, hijo, that is disgusting. Don't wear it. Why are you wearing this? What is your, like, what's your problem, sort of thing? So this is one that really just, it turns his stomach, basically. However, this is one that Sandra likes. This is one that when I'm wearing it, she can't quite define what it is about it, but there's something that is, I guess, alluring about the fragrance. What I think is happening here is, and these are, again, being that it's a Nasomatto, we don't know what the notes are, but the gist of what I get from it is this honey element. I do get a sweetness, like, but it's not, some people say it's vanilla. I don't get vanilla. I do get like a honey sweet element. I do get a very deep musk, and there's a lot of musk that's happening in here. I get the creaminess of a musk, so like a something skin-like, and something that is like touch, you can almost touch it. And then I get the sassy element of that same musk, the same skin, but now in the crevices of our bodies. Something a lot more deeper, a lot more intense, sort of on that sexual nature. Then I also get like a clean vibe out of it. And I have compared it to the smell of clean linen. So you go into a hotel room and you have that beautiful, that almost pressed white linen cleanness from it. But then that sassiness sort of reemerges. It's almost like think of a movie where, that shows you this this beautiful, hotel room and beautiful bed, and then it does this, a little bit of distortion, and then it shows you time has evolved and it's now deeper in the day, and this bed has been defiled. Things have happened in this bed essentially. So I get a bit of that. So you get that crispness, that cleanness, that sort of everything is fine, and then it's like, oh my gosh, what just happened? At the end of the day, it is meant to be as I said, a sexually sort of pushing towards a sexualized sort of fragrance. It is meant to represent that sort of thing. And it does create different scent profiles. Now, my experience with this fragrance is I wore this on purpose. This is early on when I just got it. I wanted to see, I guess I wanted to test it in the sense of how does this perform in different settings. I wore it at a setting that I shouldn't have, meaning that it was a very formal event. It was a very somber event. And it wasn't something that really that kind of fragrance would fit. I mean, it's a great date night fragrance. It's a great to go to a bar, and all that sort of thing. But I wanted to test this thing out. Let me just make sure. Give me 1 second. I'll be back. I'm back. I just want to make sure that my the battery is still working on my power. So I wore it at this event, and it was the wrong place for it. But again, I was just testing just to see what kind of response I get. Blah blah blah. I was talking to this particular woman, and this woman is very shy. And I always take this like that this fragrance is a hit, okay? Very shy, very self-conscious, yada yada. We were talking, and all of a sudden, again, stopped in her tracks, and she says, "Your perfume is beautiful." And again, they know that I'm the niche fragrance collector. I have a vast collection. I've spoken to her before, and she's always, I'm guessing, smelt the fragrance. But in this case here, it's the first time that she actually complimented me on a fragrance. She got very shy, like almost to the point of a little bit red in the face, and then sort of ran away. But the fact that she actually, one, detected it, two, that she's like, that is really, really beautiful. That's a beautiful fragrance. So there's something in here. Yes, it has those, I guess, dirtier elements that people are picking up, but there's something in here that, I don't know, it's just super intriguing. And if it just so happens that the person that, your favorite person in the world likes the scent profile, then I'm gonna recommend it to you as a win. Boom. That's it. These are my showstoppers. These are the ones that, as I said, one I enjoy. I love wearing them. They're fun to wear. They're all statement makers. They all say something very distinct. I was wearing this the other day as my fragrance of the day, and man, I loved me. It does this equal part of like, whoa, super sexy, and I was like, ooh, what was that? Puts me at ease. Makes me uneasy, just like, what's going on? And then, ooh, wow, you are sexy. It's a great fragrance. It's a fun fragrance to wear, but it definitely is a statement maker. It's not a casual fragrance that you can just put on and, you're saying something, basically, is what I'm saying. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your experience with each of these? Is there anything there that you would add as your statement maker? I'd love to hear the story. Fred, I know that you've spoken many times about Naxos, the experience that you had when you walked into a store and this woman was drawn to you just purely on your sillage. So tell me experience that you may be having or have had, and fragrances that sort of make people, do the head turn. If you enjoy this conversation, I'd love you to subscribe. It's a great support to the channel. And that leads me into this conversation that I want to have about YouTube. Something is up, something's afoot. I've had a few people reach out to me to say that for some reason, YouTube is not presenting them my content anymore. At first I thought, oh, well, look, it's just like glitch or whatever it may be. But I've had more and more of this sort of commentary come through. Had a person who was a very early sort of supporter all of a sudden go, Marcelo, I haven't been able to find you just about, you know, it's almost like I've been buried in something. I actually did reach out to YouTube to say, hey, yo, is there something going on? And I used the word, am I being shadow banned? Oh my gosh, it's almost like you don't say the word bomb at an airport because that just sets off alarm bells for everybody. So this, you know, we were in a chat and no, we don't, you know, shadow ban is not a word that we use and and you know, we have very strict policies and we don't, you know, that does not exist, blah, blah, blah. The bottom line is something is going on. And so I asked this individual, you know, what is going on? Because, you know, my content seems to be hidden in some way. Even people who have the notification bell on, it doesn't present it forward. I don't know. Short answer is I don't know, other than what this individual shared with me is that and this is how I perceive it also, at the end of the day, it's about making money. And so if a content doesn't present itself really fast, like in the first hour, it doesn't really sort of push itself forward, then it just gets submerged underwater essentially, because it's not going to generate revenue when it comes to ads and blah, blah, blah. So that's the way that I'm seeing it. I don't think there's anything too insidious or anything sort of some kind of conspiracy plot to not let anyone see the content from the NFC channel. But the problem still exists. So for me, this still is a concern. Now, here's, I guess from my end, the things that I'm going to start doing is work harder on my on my thumbnails and my catch cries to draw people's attention. What I won't do, and this is what was recommended, that I really should sort of animate more my thumbnails and give it more of that AI look, you know, think of Mr. Beast. I find that, and this is the part where it becomes tricky because if we're all doing the same thing, we all become, you know, homogenized, everything looks the same. And I don't know, anyway, here I'm also open to your conversation. So any thoughts that you may have in this subject, I'm more than happy to hear that out. I do, and I've seen this more and more, that everything's beginning to look like, when it comes to thumbnails, blah, 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 like Mr. Beast. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to... I acknowledge that this is the game I'm playing, but at the same time, it's like our own individuality begins to be swallowed up. You know, you just begin to look like everything else, essentially. But I also recognize that otherwise, how do people click on you? I don't know. Anyway, the other thing I don't want to do is, you know, the sensationalism, you know, surrounding it. And I've also noticed that there's a lot of sensationalism when it comes to content, not just within the fragrance, but across the board. And that's what draws attention. I get it too. I don't know if I want to do that. But again, I'm open to conversation on this. Let me hear your thoughts. There are a few things that I think could be done. One is, if you're aware of the content, I promise, and you can have a look at my rhythm. Religiously, I will always post on Thursday. So you'll see that Mata Talk comes out on Thursday, and religiously, I will always post on a Sunday. So if you don't get notified or whatever, just jump on and look for the NFC channel, and you know that there is going to be an episode either on Thursday or the Sunday. I am planning to do more content, but that for me takes a lot more energy because as you can see, there's a lot of work that goes into the editing part of the content. So anyway, I recognize also I need to have more speed. So I'm looking at performing that. Another support that you guys can do, if you can, is the hype button. And it's a new concept that YouTube have introduced. This is how you do it. Here's the video. I sort of did a self-recording. But yeah, on the comments, I know that there are some countries that are not available, but if you do have it available, I'd love for you to swipe, hit that hype. That, I'm gonna say, adds some kind of sort of pushes it forward, shows the algorithm that people are interested in this conversation, and ideally keeps it relevant for other eyes to see it too. That's it. The last thing that I want to share is in regards to Libertine. I was in Sydney yesterday. I had an awesome meeting with the team. Alexandre, I think I may have mentioned, has left. She's now based in Paris, and there's a new marketing manager, and I wanted to catch up with them and sort of go into more detail. We are planning quite a few exciting things moving down the line, some promos and things of that nature. So Aussies, look out for that. They do have world distribution. I don't know what the postage cost for that is, but just, a lot of these promos can also now be opened up to the world. There will be a Penhaligon's promo coming up very soon. They've liked the Penhaligon's conversation I've had up until now. I'll do some more productions on that, and then we'll do a promo, but I'll share more in the coming weeks. One thing that I do want to highlight, and this is for Melbourneites or even Aussieites, if you're able to come across, they've opened up a new boutique here in Melbourne. It's gorgeous. It's in the perfect location. High Street Albandale is the location when it comes to, I guess, your quality retailers. I would like to do a meetup there on Saturday, the 9th of May, and I'm suggesting 11 a.m. I'm open to conversation on this. I know a lot of you guys were in private conversations regardless, but if you're also a Melbourneite and I don't have your DM details, etc., then let me, just reach out to me, let me know. It would be great to meet up. I'm thinking 11 a.m. and then afterwards we can go get a bite to eat around that area there. I am planning something bigger for the Libertine and the in-store experience. There's a concept that we were having a conversation on yesterday that I really like this idea, and it would, anyway. Let's meet up first. We can then elaborate in more detail. But 9th of May, if you can please put it on your calendar. If that is going to be a problem, give me another date. But I'd like to do early May so early to mid-May would be the ideal time to get together. Bada boom. That's it. Everyone, thank you for your time. Appreciate you being here. Please, I'm doing my best to write comments. I also realize that back on me, that's something that I need to do more of. So you probably may have seen that I'm actually engaging a lot more active. So if you got questions for me, please let me know. I do like when you guys give me ideas for Mate Talk. So today, Dimitri, I salute you. My camera stopped. So short Mate Talk. We'll see what. Hannah's already telling me that this is going for an hour. No, we can't do it. Thanks, everyone. Dimitri, I don't know if, thank you, sir. I appreciate you being the man who put, I guess, the schedule for this particular Mate Talk. So put comments in. I'll address them, and away we go. See you all on the next episode. Bye, everyone.